key thing, go to the GP, get your blood pressure checked. It's amazing how many times, I've known people, even socially, who've had high blood pressures and dather around about it and don't get around to do it. And what we are increasingly seeing is that we know that these mildly elevated blood pressures, 145, 150, that you might brush off and say, oh, you know, a bit of white coat hypertension, and all of a sudden they come back with a big stroke. Well, the other thing that we'll sometimes see is when you do an MRI scan of the brain, perhaps for some other reason, like a headache or dizzy spell, you'll see telltale little signs of the very small blood vessels deep inside the brain closing over or having silent stroke damage, which is clearly a consequence of hypertension. So the number one thing is to get that blood pressure checked. And many times blood pressure is silent. You can't feel hypertension in most cases. So it is something that you need to get checked.
There's a lot of talk as well about stress being a major factor. Is there any evidence to suggest that indeed stress is a trigger?
It's perhaps a little bit more complex, in fact. So there's super acute stress. And anecdotally, or I'm sure all stroke specialists will see the situation where someone has an extremely terribly stressful situation, such a relative has suddenly and unexpectedly died. And there's a surge in blood pressure that triggers a stroke. I've also seen pain do that as well. But as towards the more chronic, low-level, grumbling stressors that many of us have, there has been an analysis of that. And the conclusion is that it's perhaps more sort of personality type and reaction to the underlying stressors than necessarily the chronic stress itself.